Welcome back. All right, so there are two Cobra Kai No Mercy stickers on my boards tonight. One on this board, one on the other board, and some really out there results tonight. Unexpected, unpredicted, and that's why they play the games, as Don Taylor once said. Which, honestly, tonight's hockey was a lot of fun. 8 games in total. So let's go ahead and jump in with New Jersey in against Pittsburgh. So it was Dawes against Jarry. 8 days rest for New Jersey. There's some debate about whether or not all that rest is a good thing. In New Jersey's case, yep. Bratt, it's a 2-on-1 that leads to a goal. He scores from Hischier and Zacha at 1:16. McLeod with a rush chance, then he fires wide. Then Brian Rust with a rush of his own. He ends up hitting the post. Penn's press, but the Devils shot blocking, and then it's Jesper Bratt at 5:47 makes it 2-0. And not long thereafter, 57 seconds later, it's Sharon Govich from Subban at 6:44. At this point, the Penguins call a timeout. And it's Mike Sullivan basically asking his guys what's going on, and he kind of let him have it a little bit. Jarry saves on Zacha. McGinn was then denied at the other end. The Devils press with 9.5 minutes left. Then the Devils get a power play. That was killed off. Hughes has a wraparound chance. That's saved. Penguins get a power play. That was killed off. Dawes denies Simone in the last minute, but it's 3-0 for New Jersey after one. Second period. Crosby's denied on a backhand. It was all Penguins in the first 5 minutes of that period, and Nico Dawes becomes more and more of a story as the period goes along. He denied Crosby again shortly thereafter. The shots are 9-0 for Pittsburgh at 8.5 minutes. Well, you know what happens. You get all these shots, and everything's going your way except the goals, and then the first shot that New Jersey gets on a turnover, Hughes feeds it to Mercer in front of the net, and at 9:24, it's now 4-0 for New Jersey. Penguins get a power play, and they score on it, and it's on a break, so it doesn't look like a power play goal. It's Malkin from Crosby and Rust at 11:13. That makes the score 4-1. The Devils then get a power play, and they score on theirs. It's Severson scoring from Hughes and Hischier at 13:37. That's the end of the night for Tristan Jarry. Casey DeSmith goes in. So what's interesting with Pittsburgh is their goaltending was fantastic with Jarry, right? Now over the last few weeks, Jarry started to kind of struggle with some stuff, and it's clear that there's some uncertainty in the Pittsburgh net right now. 2 minutes of 4-on-4 would follow that with 1:15 left. The Penguins get a power play, so that rolls over into the third. The Devils finish the kill. Zacha has a chance that's saved and held. The Penguins get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4, which then becomes the Devils' power play, and they score on theirs. Their second power play of the game. It's Hischier from Hughes at 9:30. And I'll agree with the announcers. Pittsburgh right now misses Teddy Bluger. Teddy Bluger was a big part of the reason that their penalty kill was so good not that long ago, and it started allowing goals at a pretty amazing rate that is great for the opponents, not great if you're a Pittsburgh fan. So, and that was during the first half of a double minor as well. So the other half of the double minor's killed off, but your final score is 6-1. So thus the no mercy sticker right here. The record now for New Jersey's 18-28-5. The record for Pittsburgh's 31-14-8. Your shots 15-13 New Jersey in the first, 14-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 15-11 New Jersey in the third. A lot of shots in this one. 38-36 for Pittsburgh. Power plays. New Jersey goes 2 for 5. Pittsburgh goes 1 for 4. Pittsburgh, they also out-hit the New Jersey Devils 23-21. Dawes, 37 saves on 38 shots. I'll go out on a limb and say best game of his young career so far. Jarry saves 14 out of 19. DeSmith saves 16 out of 17. And again, there are some question marks when it comes to Pittsburgh right now. They've won 4 out of 11. And this game against New Jersey, it was a rough one. All right, I had to pause for Jet was destroying stuff, so I had to get her out of here. Nothing she's not allowed to, but just that means they're bored. Rabbits get bored, they start looking for stuff to eat. Doesn't matter if it's edible. So, Minnesota in against Toronto tonight. Minnesota and Toronto, both teams looking to make sure that they get back into contender status. Some recent games for both teams have been, iffy. So, it's Kakkonen versus Mrazek, and both teams played like this was a playoff game early. Nylander fires one wide on a turnover. Engvall with a net feed that wouldn't go. The shots were only 2-1 for the Wild at 6.5 minutes. The Leafs needed shots, but the Wild were blocking out. So both defenses played very well early in this game. It really felt like, playoff-style atmosphere in this. The Wild press at 7.5 minutes. The Leafs press back at 9 minutes. There's a post for bunting. The Leafs get a power play. Couldn't set it up. Minnesota did not give the room to get that set up. It's killed off. The Leafs were stuck on 2 shots in the game at that point. They did not get a shot on that power play. Fiala then draws a Wild power play. That's killed off. Also gets no shots. So, both penalty kills looking really good. Both defenses doing well. Caution with a rush chance that wouldn't go. And in the last minute, there's a press by the Leafs. But it's scoreless after 1. There's only 11 shots in the first period. And yeah, it was a pretty good defensive hockey. Second period, the Leafs had the early jump, but the power play get a Wild. Or the power play goes to the Wild near the start of the period. Boldy's denied. The Leafs did kill it off. Dermott then has a blast go wide. The Leafs press. Brodin has a blast that's saved and held. And then it's Minnesota that opens the scoring. It's Gaudreau scoring from Boldy and Fiala at 8:37. Great pass by Boldy and a one-timer by Gaudreau. And there you go. But at 9:04, seconds later, Matthews evens it up from Liljegren and Dermott. He wires it on a rush opportunity. So Matthews, I believe that tied him for the lead in goals in the NHL. Spezza with a net feed. That was cleared out. Bunting then has a chance that's saved and held. The Leafs get a power play. Tavares has a shot that deflects wide. He came into this one with a 10-game goalless streak. It's now 11 games. He played well enough tonight, but again, Tavares is not getting the goals, and you can tell it's bothered him. Then there's a shorthanded chance for Dewar that's saved. Really strong penalty kill. Then becomes a 4-on-4. The Wild get a power play. That was killed off as well. So you go to the third period. Power play for the Wild early in the third. That's killed off again. Stays 1-1. Matthews has a chance that's saved and held. And then Sandin has a chance saved. The shots are 4 apiece at 5.5 minutes. Kerfoot with a net feed that wouldn't go. And it's a little past the halfway mark of the third period when the Leafs break the tie. It's Matthews from Marner at 10:22. And so I believe that puts Matthews in the lead in goal scoring at 36. Kerfoot then has a rush that's defended. Fiala has a blast that's saved as a Wild press. Kakinen poke checks Nylander. Nylander's coming in. Goalie pull with 2 minutes left. With 1:40 left, the Wild call a timeout. The Leafs end up adding the empty netter. It's Kerfoot from Marner and Tavares at 19 minutes and 18 seconds. The Leafs win this one 3-1. Again, it had a playoff environment. Felt like a big game. They go to 33-14-4 with the win. Minnesota drops to 31-15-3 with the loss. The shots in this one, 6-5 Minnesota in the first, 11-10 Minnesota in the second, 13-10 Minnesota in the third. So the final shots are 30-25 for the Wild. Power plays, Minnesota 0-4, Toronto 0-2. Hits, 21-14 Minnesota. Kakinen saves 22 out of 24. Mrazek, very good game for Mrazek. This was a big game because his numbers coming into this were kind of not great. And so 29 saves on 30 shots will bring his stats up a little bit and assuage the fears of Leaf fans that they may need to change the goaltending, at least for tonight. At least for tonight, those fears are set aside. They can come back another time, right? All right, next up, Columbus. So before this game started, it's Berube versus Johansson, and I thought, Johansson can have good games, but he can have really rough games too. We saw that in Buffalo. We saw that in Colorado. He can have nights where some goals go in that maybe possibly shouldn't, right? And Berube, I don't know, maybe it's because he's been in the minors for this long and he's bound and determined to make this work with Merzlikins out for a while and them needing a goaltender. Quiet start. The shots were 1 apiece at 3.5 minutes. You could see that Columbus was not allowing 9 goals tonight. This was pretty obvious early. Columbus was defending well throughout most of the first half, but then Weegar scores on a great setup by Barkov and Verhaeghe at 8:33. So we're almost 10 minutes in, and it's 1-0 Florida. And again, it's a matter of Florida just takes advantage of those opportunities. You don't have to give them a lot. Columbus tries to answer. The shots are 4 apiece at the half. Panthers get a power play. The second unit had chances for them there, but Columbus did kill it off. Marchment then with a near miss on a rebound. And then it's Laine, who's been absolutely red hot. 11-game point streak for him. Scores from Voracek at 15:05, and it's a fast break on a turnover. Patrick Laine starting to look like a star player again. Laine to Jenner, chances saved there with 49.2 seconds left. The Panthers get themselves a power play. Always pause if you have to sneeze. Then, to start the second period, Columbus finishes the kill. They get a power play of their own. The Panthers killed that off as well. Columbus presses at 6 minutes. Jenner and Vetrano are unfriendly. Nice to see Vetrano back in the lineup. Uyghur's denied as the Panthers press, and then it's Jenner. He puts Columbus in the lead for the first time in the game from Gavrikov and Voracek at 9:32. And the Panthers try to answer. With 1:16 left, the Panthers get a power play. There's a shorthanded rush by Jenner that was saved and held. So Boone Jenner with a very good game. He already had the goal in the period, and he was trying for a shorthanded marker as well. It's 2-1 Columbus after 2. Third period. Columbus finishes the kill. Panthers press at 2 minutes, but it's Gabriel Carlsson scoring from Bjorkstrand and Roslovic at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. The shots are 3-2 for the Panthers, 5 minutes in. Panthers then get a power play. Huberdeau scores first before the Panthers get a power play from Marchment and Forsling at 6:52. So what's interesting is when it's 3-1, I don't already update the records. I had already updated the records on a couple of games, and I thought, I do not have faith that Florida won't come back and just steamroll. We've seen them do it all year. So when Huberdeau scores here, and then the Panthers get a power play, in my mind, I was like, this is where things kind of fall apart. However, Reinhart has a chance that's saved, and Columbus killed it off. And then it's Sillinger from Voracek at 9:47, and then on a failed clear by Johansson, Boquist passes or takes the shot. Danforth puts it in at 9:57. So 2 goals in 10 seconds, and it's been blown open. So Florida, thinking outside the box, as Florida's known to do, they pull the goaltender with more than 8 minutes left, and they do get a goal 6-on-5. It's Sam Bennett from Barkov and Huberdeau at 13:41. They pull the goaltender again. Columbus not allowing the major comeback. Bjorkstrand scores from Roslovic and Kukin at 14:01. So what does Florida do? Well, they pull the goalie again, because what else are you going to do? So they pull the goalie with 5:20 left, and then Sillinger, who, honestly on the play, he's just blown up by Bennett. Bennett just absolutely drilled him. It was a scary-looking hit. Does draw a crowd. What ends up coming out of that is a Columbus power play. It's killed off, but your final score is 6-3. So yeah, Sillinger just destroyed on the Bennett hit. Your final score being 6-3 means that Columbus, 27-23-1, is trying to drag themselves back into the playoff picture. They've now won, I believe it's 9 out of 11. For Florida, they're 35-12-5. That's back-to-back losses at home. That's very unusual for Florida. Your shots, 11-10 Florida in the first, 14-8 Florida in the second, 17-10 Florida in the third. Yeah, they outshot them the whole way through. 42-28 is the final shots for Florida. Power plays, Columbus 0-2, Florida 0-4. Hits, 43-27 for Columbus. Berube, 39 saves on 42 shots. Johansson saves 22 out of 27. Like I said, does happen with Johansson at times, and Columbus is fine with that, whatever. They don't have to play Florida again this year, and they come out with the 2 points. And again, they're not really completely in the playoff picture, but they're the one Eastern team right now below the playoff line that looks like they're ready to maybe put together this run. And if it's sustainable, Boston and Washington have to be careful. Speaking of Washington, the Caps tonight in against New York Rangers. And Shesterkin, it's Igor a lot of the time, isn't it? So it's Samsonov versus Shesterkin in this, and of course, booze for Tom Wilson at the beginning. Caps press at 3.5 minutes. The shots are 3 apiece at 4.5 minutes. Both goalies looked sharp early. Stingy defense by both teams in the first half, but in the second half, the Rangers opened the scoring. It's Mika Zibanejad from Lafreniere and Zach Jones. So at 12:57, they open the scoring, and Lafreniere getting points, playing top 6 minutes right now, looking like he's ready to have a big run after the All-Star game here. Kuznetsov then has a net feed cleared. Barron was denied. Samsonov holds on that one. Carlson has a chance to deflect wide, and Igor's keeping the Rangers up late in the period. The Caps had some good opportunities. So we go to the second period. Caps have a full power play to start. The whether that's an advantage or disadvantage having a power play with the ice being fresh like that, it's a debate that exists. You guys let me know if you think it's more difficult or easier or whatever. Shorthanded 3-on-2 is broken up. We end up with 54 seconds of 4-on-4. Zibanejad's denied. Everything gets killed off in that. We end up back to 5-on-5. The shots are 3-1 for the Rangers, 4.5 minutes in. Hathaway's denied on a rush. Things get scrummy after a Samsonov save. These teams generally don't like each other anyways. Rangers press at 5.5 minutes. The Caps get a power play. Carlson's blast was blocked. The Rangers cleared out. It's killed off. Really strong power play. And then late in the period, Lafreniere adds an insurance goal from Lindgren at 18:48. That makes it 2-0 after 2. Third period. Again, the Caps start with a full power play. What is it with the Rangers taking penalties right at the horn in this one? They did it in the first and in the second. Now, if they'd done it in the third, only would have mattered if there was overtime. So, Ovechkin fans on one. The Rangers cleared out. It's killed off. The Rangers are doing a good job of blocking out on that. Strong counterattacks as well by the Rangers. The Rangers get a power play. That's killed off. However, Kreider adds another. So, Kreider in the running for the Richard Trophy. He keeps pace here. Gets a goal from Fox and Zibanejad at 6:57. The Caps try to answer. However, the Rangers score again. It's Gaudreau from Rooney and Reeves at 11:09. The Caps get a power play, and they pull the goalie, because sure, why not? It's unsuccessful, but they tried. We then get a fight between Sherry and Lindgren. Didn't see that one coming. Ovechkin then scores from Kuznetsov to break the shutout at 18:58. So Shesterkin's shutout is broken. Ovechkin gets the goal, and your final score is 4-1 for the Rangers. The Rangers go to 33-13-5 with the win. The Capitals 28-16-9 with the loss. Again, of the teams in the East above the playoff line, it might be the Caps that Columbus is looking to chase down. While Boston has its vulnerabilities as well, I get the feeling that it could end up being the Caps. Your shots, 11-7 Washington in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 17-5 Washington in the third. They got goalied. Final shots, 37-21 for Washington. Power plays, the Caps 0 for 4. The Rangers 0 for 2. The hits, 24-17 for the Rangers. Samsonov, 17 saves on 21 shots. Shesterkin, 36 saves on 37 shots. And yeah, you'll notice now that the licorice is up on the tree because I took his sister upstairs. So as soon as he sees that, he's like, all right, I'm going to behave and come up here and have a bath and lay down. Rabbits know what's right and wrong. All right, now I need to change boards. Now, this board is an unusual one where you have a Dallas game, a Vancouver game, and a Boston game all back to back to back. Now, when I started out doing reviews of games, I would review the teams I cheered for first. And eventually I went, all right, nope, can't be doing that. There's a definite bias there. So when this takes place, I kind of sort of enjoy it. And of course, they're all late games too, starting with Dallas and Nashville. Ottinger versus Saros. It, of course, was Pekka Rinne night. A lot of discussions of Pekka Rinne. The patch on those jerseys, that's sharp. I'm going to pick that one up. I like that one. Fox and Jeannot have a scrap early. I kind of surprised at Fox getting into a fight, but hey, he held his own. Early chances for the Stars. In fact, the shots are 4-1 in their favor at 6.5 minutes. Predators get a power play. Tolvanen has a shot that's saved and held. It's killed off, and Nashville presses after. Eventually, they open the scoring. It's Tomasino's having a good rookie year from Fabro at 11:56. The Stars then get a power play. It's unsuccessful. In the last minute, Nashville gets the pressure, but it's 1-0 Nashville after the first period. Second period, early on, Robertson scores from Pavelski and Suter. So at 1:21, Dallas ties up the game. And then Robertson had another opportunity. He's denied on a rush chance after that. Predators then get a 4-minute power play. To Dallas's credit, very strong penalty kill. Kills it off. Predators go right back to the power play. That was killed off as well. The Predators at this point at 0 for 4 on the night. Pavelski with a rush chance. He fires high. Pressed then by the Preds with 7 minutes left. The Stars get a power play. That was killed off. Radulov with a wraparound chance. That wouldn't go. Predators get their 5th power play already. That was their final power play of the game, but 5 already. It's killed off. And then at the buzzer, everybody decides to hug one another. So, nice little love circle between the two teams. I assume that's what it was. They didn't have the on-ice microphones on. So I can only assume they were hugging and talking about fudge. If you can read lips, that's what it looked like. Third period. Early Stars press. They're kept to the outside, though. Duchesne has a net drive. Suter defends on that. Blocks him out. Stars press at 5 minutes. The shots are 3-1 for Nashville at 7 minutes. So it's a very tentative-ish kind of start to the period. Crossbar then for Klingberg. Saros covers on that. So that was during a Stars power play that was killed off. Stars press with 5.5 minutes left. Carrier hadn't played since the end of the second period, so we will see tomorrow whether or not it's just a day-to-day thing, it's no big deal, or if it is a big deal, right? Lindell has a rush chance that saved. Saros denies Faxa, and Glendening gets tied up with Jeannot. They kind of go back and forth. No calls are made there. So we go to overtime. Preds control in the face-off. Yossi with a mishandle. Dallas controls. And with 3:36 left, the Stars get a power play. They also called a timeout. The Stars are cycling a lot during that power play. It's one of those things where you're like, yeah, this is really nice passing. Are we going to see a shot soon? Pavelski has a shot that saved. Hintz fires one high, and Nashville kill it off. Yossi has a shot deflect out, and then in the closing seconds, Jamie Benn can't quite bury one to get the winner for Dallas. So we go to a shootout. In the shootout, it is Granlund with the winner. Nashville wins this in a shootout 2-1. They go to 30-18-4 for Dallas. Losing those 2 points, they get one instead. They go to 28-20-3. They are now tied with Anaheim. Because they have games in hand on Anaheim, they're technically ahead of them in the standings, but they're still below the playoff line. So for Dallas, 1 point is good. 2 points would have been much better. Shots, not a lot in this game. 9-8 Nashville in the first, 9-5 Dallas in the second, 8-4 Dallas in the third, in the overtime 3-2 for Dallas. Final shots 28-20 for the Stars. Power plays, a lot of 0 for here. 0 for 4 for Dallas, 0 for 5 for Nashville. Hits, tons. 44-31 for Nashville. Ottinger saves 19 out of 20, and Saros saves 27 out of 28. I will say this, I do get a kick out of watching Nashville, because remember, I've been talking about how on TV here, they're just giving us the home feeds. So it was the Nashville feed for this game. I do enjoy the Nashville announcers for one thing. Anytime Nashville takes a penalty, they'll argue why it shouldn't have been a penalty. I swear, every penalty, I was laughing at a couple of times tonight where the penalty seemed obvious to me, and the Dallas penalties, no problem. But yeah, I got a kick out of it. It doesn't upset me or anything. It's just I think it's kind of entertaining. I know they're not the only ones to do that, but it just seems kind of funny because they did it with, I think it was like 3 in a row that they were like, well, that come on, they allowed that, so why is that being called? I just thought it was kind of funny. All right, next up, Calgary and Vancouver, and it's a throwback night, and they were wearing the skate jersey, and after the game, JT Miller says he wishes they could wear them all the time. Horvat loves them, and I think it might be time for the Canucks to pull the trigger. Yeah, I think it might be time. With Arizona, we saw the Kachina, and it became more and more popular. And eventually, Arizona's like, why are we fighting it? I think the Canucks at some point soon eventually end up going back to the skate. It's very popular, and a white skate and an Adidas would be a gorgeous thing, and I really want it to happen. So it's Markstrom versus Demko, and again, skate jerseys. So this felt really old-fashioned because remember, Calgary's gone back to their old jerseys from the 80s. Same design. The logo's got the texturing on it, which is fantastic now, and of course the Canucks in their blacks. I'm like, this feels like Game 7, 1994. Early press by the Flames. Myers has a net feed. That wouldn't go. The Flames then get a rush after that. Hughes has a chance that's saved and held. Flames press at 7 minutes. The Canucks get a power play. Really aggressive penalty kill by Calgary. There's no setup. The Flames kill it off. Podkolzin was denied. Miller was as well on the same shift. Canucks turnovers in their own end were a problem. Mangiapane has a slow roller that nearly fooled Demko late. But coming out of the first period, it's scoreless. And it's a very evenly played game. The second period, let the dam burst. So the Canucks get a power play and they score on it. It's Pettersson from Hughes and Besser at 3:42, and it's posting in. Fantastic goal by Pettersson, who has been red hot lately. Dickinson's then denied. There's a board crash after that. It looked scary in the beginning, but he got up and skated off under his own power. Flames press at 7 minutes. Demko loses his stick and makes an absolutely huge glove save on that. Canucks get another power play, and they score on it. It's Miller from Hughes and Pettersson at 10 minutes and 18 seconds. Posting in again. And the Bruce, there it is, chance startup. Yep. And I agree with John Shorthouse and John Garrett. A little bit early for that. Like, it just felt like there's a lot of game left. Maybe, watch the victory lap. However, things get kind of scrummy after a Demko save. These teams always don't like each other. That's just the way it's supposed to work. And then Horvat was allowed to just skate in and fire it. I don't know who missed their assignment there, but there's a loose puck in front of the Calgary net. He just skates in and blasts it. One-timer at 10:50. So, all right, it's 3-0. Lindholm was then denied the next shift. Remember, Lindholm came into this on a goal-scoring streak. He was looking to set a new goal-scoring streak for the Flames. That was broken tonight. Hughes with a rush chance, that saved with 2:34 left. The Canucks get a power play. So Markstrom has an equipment issue, so Vladar ends up going in. Markstrom didn't come back into the game. Power play goal ends up being scored by Horvat, with Miller and Besser on the assists at 18:42. I felt bad for Vladar, because then not long after that, there's a hand on puck in the crease. Well, if you put your hand on the puck in the crease, that's a penalty shot. So JT Miller at 19:55 scores on a penalty shot. It is 5-0 Vancouver after 2. And I start having these flashbacks to a game from many, many, many years ago with the Calgary Flames and Vancouver Canucks, when they wore very similar jerseys to the ones they're wearing tonight. Not exactly the same. The striping is not the same. It's not the same jerseys, but still. Third period, no goal for the Flames. Flames are early on there. The puck goes in the net, goalie interference. I don't think Daryl Sutter was happy about it. Flames press at a minute and a half. Backlund's denied. So the Flames came out with some energy. And then Garland scores from Pearson and Miller at 4:33. Garland then tries for another. The Flames, though, they end up coming out with a power play. On that power play at 7:23, it is Pettersson scoring shorthanded. So Pettersson's second goal to go with an assist tonight. And yeah, that makes it 7-0. So again, Pettersson, I have never done a video where I've even speculated on trading Pettersson, because I think it would be ridiculous for the Canucks to trade him. And the way he's played over the last 15 games, I think has been proof that he's, a cornerstone of this team for the future. And then after that goal goes in, Highmore has a shorthanded chance. That was saved. 6:11 left. The Canucks get a power play. This is right around where Chase Claypool, who's from Abbotsford, plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was in attendance tonight. He said that the Canucks had put up a touchdown on Calgary, and that that means that the Flames suck, which started the Calgary sucks chants in Vancouver. I've heard those before. So yeah, he said that. Things get brawly with 3:42 left, and this was after Calgary had finished killing that power play. What happened was Goudreau gets high-sticked, and there's no call, and there should have been. There wasn't one. So they were angry about that. Eventually, they break the shutout. It's Mangiapane from Backlund and Coleman at 17:53. The Canucks end up getting a power play that finishes off the game for them, and there's the Cobra Kai No Mercy sticker right there, because your final score is 7-1. Vancouver, 3 games above 500. 25, 22, and 6. Canuck fans are getting very optimistic now that the Canucks are going to make the playoffs. We shall see. For the Flames, they're 30, 14, and 6 with this loss. And so they'll have a chip on their shoulder going into the next game. Their winning streak ends at 10. Shots, 11 apiece in the first, 13-10 Vancouver in the second, 14-9 Vancouver in the third. Final shots, 38-30 for the Canucks. Power plays, Calgary 0 for 1. Vancouver, 3 for 7. The hits, 38-30 for Calgary. Markstrom saves 18 out of 21. Vladar in relief saves 13 out of 17. Demko saves 29 out of 30, wearing a mask that was fashioned after Kirk McLean's that he would have been wearing in 1992, or a facsimile thereof. His mask changed over the years a little bit. So McLean gets a shutout, 11-0, on March 1st of 1992. Well, we're on February 24th, so we're about 5 days off from that anniversary. In that game, the Canucks went 6 for 10 on the power play. There were 132 penalty minutes in that game. Lots of fighting. The goals in that game, Vancouver scored 3 in the first and 4 in the second, as well as 4 in the third. I remember that game very vividly because it was the most fun I had ever had watching a game to that point. For the goals, for the fights, for everything. And it was just, it was Vernon, and then it was Reese, and just, yeah. That was quite the game. And that's what this reminded me of, especially because the Canucks were wearing their skates. So, again, the skate jersey, yeah, it turned out pretty well against Calgary. All right, moving on. Next up, Boston in against Seattle. I had worried this was a trap game, and I'm going to say straight out, it very, very, very nearly was. This could have gone bad. So it's Ullmark versus Grubauer in this one. Boston, they get a power play at 20 seconds. And then they end up with a 5-on-3 shortly thereafter. When it was a 5-on-4, there's a shorthanded 2-on-1 that McAvoy breaks up. But during that power play, Giordano scores shorthanded from Sheahan and Alexiak at 3:29. And that's where the sets in. Like, okay, Boston's 0 for 2 on the power play. It's Seattle's second shorthanded goal ever as a team. And so Boston comes out of that down 1. So yeah, the Bruins power play was out of sync at that stage. Marchand has a shot that's saved. The kill was over, so yeah, Marchand's back in the lineup. Bruins were ahead in shots 7-3 at 8 minutes, but they're down 1-0. So the shots are great, but they're down 1-0. Bruins go back to the power play. Pastrnak, he ends up with a blast that hits a crossbar and goes out. After the kill, Seattle gets a power play. Ullmark, Snow Angels, near the end of it. He's on the puck, though. The Bruins did end up killing it. Bruins get their 5th power play in the first period. That would end up being their last power play in the game, which I thought that's probably for the best. So the Kraken killed it off, but shortly after it's done, DeBrusk scores to tie the game from Howland and Smith at 17:33, and it was a weird one. The puck kind of ping-pong balled around. It lands right on the goal line, and DeBrusk throws it in. It was on the goal line behind Grubauer. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, Clifton has a blast that's kicked out. Seattle gets a power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1. Bergeron's denied twice during that. Good kill. And in fact, best chances were for the penalty kill, not for the power play. Pastrnak then puts Boston in the lead from McAvoy and Grzelcyk at 6:47. Bruins then had a 3-on-2. That was defended. Donato fires one wide from the slot. You know, you have Donato, you have Johansson, and you have Lauzon. There were a few former Bruins in the lineup for Seattle tonight, and they were all pretty prominent at points, clearly wanting to kind of stick it to the team that used to employ them. Bruins press at the half. McAvoy and DeBrusk are both denied. And then it's Eberle. Eberle, who's gone through a long drought. Since the All-Star break, he's been having some better luck. He scores from Johansson, former Bruin, and Yarncroke at 13:19. And then Seattle presses for the lead. Again, it's that whole trap thing, right? Power play for Seattle, that's killed off, but Seattle presses after. So it's a tie game. The shots are heavily in favor of Boston, 31-18 after 2 periods, but it's a tie game. Third period. Early press by Boston. They had some opportunities. Seattle presses back at the 6-minute mark. Momentum was with the Kraken after that, too. Not much room with the puck for Boston in that third period. More Seattle pressure. Ullmark making some of the best saves he's made recently in that third period. McAvoy fires one wide as the Bruins press. Appleton and Blackwell are both denied. So we go to overtime. We did get to overtime. The Bruins control it early, and Seattle didn't touch the puck. DeBrusk ends up getting the goal. It's a sharp angle shot. Again, DeBrusk gets 2 goals. Neither of them were looked like they were the one he planned, but they're 2 goals. So he scores from Coyle and McAvoy at 33 seconds, and Boston survives the scare. They win 3-2 in overtime. They go to 30-17-4 with the win. Seattle 16-33-5 with the overtime loss. So that's 5 extra time loss points for them. Your shots, 17-8 Boston in the first, 14-10 Boston in the second, 9-7 Seattle in the third, and then Boston had the only shot in overtime, the shot that matters. Final shots, 39-27 for Boston. Power plays, the Bruins go 0 for 5, Seattle goes 0 for 3. Hits, 19-18 Boston. Ullmark saves 25 out of 27. Grubauer saves 36 out of 39. This might be the best game Grubauer's played this season. Played very, very well. So it was kind of rough that both DeBrusk goals were ones that, man, it's a bad break, but you know, it's the way things have worked out for Seattle this year. A lot of bad breaks for Seattle. All right, last game of the night, Islanders in against San Jose. Now I went with the fisherman logo for this one because I thought fishermen and sharks. Sure, why not? So it's Sorokin versus Reimer, and this is game 1652 for Zdeno Chara. Big night for him, but it's not the only milestone we would see for the Islanders tonight. Early chance for the Islanders' fourth line. There's a power play for them as well. That's killed off. Crossbar then for Tomas Hertl. The Islanders press at 7.5 minutes, but they need some shots. That being said, they kept saying the Islanders had no shots, but according to the app on my phone, they did. So I don't know how accurate some of the shot totals were at certain points during the broadcast. Another Islanders power play, that was killed. That did not have shots on it, that power play. The Islanders then had a 3-on-2. That fizzles out. Nelson has a tip that's saved. Beauvillier's denied, but eventually the Islanders open the scoring. It's Nelson from Mayfield and Bellows at 14:56. The Sharks then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Barabanov from Burns and Hertl at 15:55. So the lead lasts less than a minute. And then at 17:32, San Jose gets the lead. It's Weatherby from VL, and the Islanders would try to press for an answer, but it's 2-1 San Jose after 1. Second period. The early presses for the Islanders. Dobson has a shot that's blocked. 6 minutes into this period, the shots are 5-2 for the Islanders. They're not sitting back in this period. They're going to make sure they get their shots. Meyer then has a chance that goes right through the crease. Hurdle has a net drive that's defended, but the Islanders would tie it. It's Zach Parise scoring from Aho and Barzal at 12:48. The pass goes to Parise from behind the net, and he just wires it 5-hole. It is goal number 400 in the career of Zach Parise, so congratulations to him for goal number 400. Yep, there needs to be a career video then for that as well, as I promised a career video with Chara being the all-time leading games played defenseman. Games played by a defenseman. That's now led by Zdeno Chara. You guys know what I mean. 1,652 games. It's late. It's late. So Zdeno Chara's got that. So yeah, that's a couple Islander videos coming up. Kudos to the Islanders on that. So Pajot versus Nieto happens. First ever NHL fight for Nieto. He held his own. That was after he threw a hit. It was a clean hit. I don't understand the you throw a clean hit, now you got to fight. I don't get it. The Sharks end up coming out with a power play. Well, yeah. And on the power play, they score, which is how you want this to work. Couture scores from Merkley and Hurdle at 16:31. But the Islanders come back and tie it almost right away. So it is Pelech from Barzal and Parise at 16:50. So Parise gets an assist to go with his goal tonight. And for Pelech, yeah, a little bit of offense for Pelech there. The Islanders then press for the lead, and in the last shift, there's a press by the Islanders. So coming out of the second period, it's 3-3. Kind of an up-in-the-air game, keeping in mind this one was up in the air as well. This one was not. And this one was coming to an end as this one's going to the third. Third period, Dobson has a net feed that wouldn't go. Pajot fans on one, fans on a one-timer. Meyer, spinning shot, ends up going wide. The Islanders get a power play. Nelson's shot is saved and held. Pulock was denied. The Sharks, after killing that off, they get some pressure with 9.5 minutes left. Pelech's denied. Reimer covers. So Pelech was looking for another goal. Don't tell him he's an all-defensive defenseman. All Islanders, but it was still tied in the third. So as much as the Sharks controlled a large portion of the first period, the Islanders did the same in the third. Burns has a shot that's saved, but in the last minute, another press by the Islanders. We end up going to overtime. The Islanders control. There's a crossbar for Barzal. Couture has a shot that's saved. Beauvillier has one that's saved as well. Nelson's completely robbed by Reimer. Pajot has one that's saved and held, and Dobson would hit the post. So there were a lot of opportunities for the Islanders, just the one for the Sharks. We're going to a shootout. In the shootout, the only goal is scored by Logan Couture. San Jose finally breaks that losing streak. It's not the prettiest win, but they win 4-3 in a shootout. They go to 23, 22, and 6. It's another setback for the Islanders, 19, 20, and 8. They know Boston won tonight, go to 64 points, and for them, not even close to that. So your shots in this one, 14-12 San Jose in the first, 17-9 Islanders in the second, 13-4 Islanders in the third, and in the overtime, 5-1 for the Islanders. Reimer shouldn't have to pay for drinks for a while now. Final shots, 47-28 for the Islanders. Power plays, the Islanders go 0 for 3. San Jose goes 2 for 2. Hits, 32-19 for the San Jose Sharks. Sorokin saves 25 out of 28. Reimer saves 44 out of 47. So overall, excellent night of hockey. A lot of fun to watch. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about tonight's games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.